Genetically modified organisms contain DNA that has been altered using genetic engineering. Genetically modified animals are mostly used for research purposes, but genetically modified plants are common in today's food supply, more common than you may know. It's been described as the future of food. However, many Nigerians are hesitant. You know how we are. What we don't know won't kill us, and God is in control. But we cannot ostrich our way through this one. My guest explains why GMOs are necessary here and safe for us. Abuja has an entire biotech farm churning out genetically modified food for export and sustenance. We visit one of them in our focus on the FCT, and as we do every week, we give you our Abuja wrap. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. Let's begin by giving you a roundup of leading stories from the nation's capital.
President Muhammadu Buhari stated that the deployment of digital technology in the 2023 National Population and Housing Census will ensure effectiveness and accuracy of the figures. The president made a disclosure at the National Stakeholders Summit on the 2023 Population and Housing Census.
Knowing Nigeria's population and using the data to plan for the people and future generation is a collective duty we owe this nation. We must all resolve that this duty is satisfactorily carried out in the firm belief that what has joined us together as a nation and our common destiny are far stronger than the negative forces that tend to drive us apart.
The president has again reassured that his administration will do everything within its powers to hasten the safe return of the remaining 31 victims of the Abuja-Kaduna train attack. The president gave the assurance when he received representatives of their families and those who lost their loved ones.
I express my deepest and most heartfelt condolences for this loss to you and your families, and we join you as a nation in your plight. It remains our solemn commitment, as demonstrated publicly and behind the scenes, that we will ensure each person currently being held captive is safely returned home to their families.
Meanwhile, the president has bemoaned the multiple challenges of insurgency, banditry and kidnapping facing the country, which he says have stretched the utilization of security agencies and other resources. He stated this at the launch of the National Crisis Management Doctrine. President Muhammadu Buhari has announced the disbursement of 100 billion naira to indigenous pharmaceutical manufacturers and healthcare investors as loans to expand their capital base and boost local production of medicines and medical consumables. The president made the announcement when he received the new executive members of the Nigerian Medical Association.
I am pleased to announce that the Central Bank of Nigeria's support to the private pharmaceutical sector in the local manufacturing of medicines and medical consumables has also led to the provision of a total of 100 billion naira for indigenous pharma manufacturers and healthcare investors as loans to expand their capital base.
Hours later, on the same day, the president met with members of the defunct Congress for Progressive Change. He tells the political leaders to remain united, focused and patriotic.
We kill about 1 million of ourselves in order to keep this country together. I don't think there can be any practical experience more than that. We are Nigerians. God willing, we will remain Nigerians.
In the meantime, the president received the new president of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Aliyu Torre, and his management team, telling them the kind of sub-regional body West African leaders desire and must have. Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State has criticized Christians who oppose his acceptance to serve as the Director General of the Presidential Campaign Organization of the All Progressive Congress. He said this after a meeting with the president.
For those who are talking about that, I don't even know where they are. I hold a papal night. And as a Catholic, everything we do it and we send the advice to the Pope. The Pope has not told me that what I'm doing is bad to accept Director General. As a Catholic, we take that direction. But generally, as a governor of a state, I said, as a governor of a state, I'm not responsible to only my faith.
The president also met with Governor Boyega Oyetola of Osun State. The details of the private meeting were not made public. The president also met with Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, who came with some requests.
I've approached Mr. President to approve that the Federal Medical Center Owerri be converted to Futo University Futo Teaching Hospital. So if it is upgraded to a teaching hospital, it will be available to Federal University of Technology for use in maintaining and managing the medical school approved by NUC.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, says that the Imagine Nigeria, an initiative of the federal government implemented in conjunction with the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, will exploit great possibilities for the country. He stated this at the official virtual launch of the report. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, has stated that state governors have no basis to complain about deductions from the Paris Club refund paid to consultants they hired, as it shows a lack of defense. He stated this at the ministerial media briefing.
Among the components of the claim presented for the consideration of the federal government was a component relating to the payment of these consultants that are now constituting the subject of contention. When eventually they made such payments, at a point they took a decision to stop the payment. The consultants instituted an action in court against the Governor's Forum. And what happened in court? They submitted to consent judgment. Thereafter, the federal government, under the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, was requested to comply with the judgment and effect payment.
Stanford University compared organic foods to genetically modified foods and found that there was no strong evidence that one or the other is either more nutritious or more likely to carry with it additional health risks. Are we able to ensure standard requirements are met? We visited a few of these biotech farms in Abuja, and what we found is quite revealing. Please watch this.
This is a research farm for agricultural biotechnology. 3 biotech crops are undergoing field trials in Nigeria. They are cowpeas, cotton, and beans. The idea of the farm, which is within the premises of the National Biotechnological Development Agency, is to strengthen the local variety of the crops to be insect-resistant and herbicide-tolerant.
The problem that farmers always experience, the challenge with soybeans cultivation, is weed invasiveness, weediness. The weeds come up and choke up the plants, and so they share nutrients, So, and it results to low yields, of course. So the breeders now thought it wise, looking at the challenge farmers are going through, they thought it wise to develop certain varieties of soybeans that will be herbicide, tolerant, because the farmers always resort to spraying. Because if you till the soil, you're always tilling, weeding and what. Weeding is actually labor intensive, And most of our farmers here in Nigeria or in Africa at large are like old people. It's mostly the older generation. They have no much energy, to be using hoe, cutlass, tilling the soil all the time and then disturbing the crop. And as you're tilling the soil, you're destroying a lot of things, nutrients and what. And then it also causes a carbon, sequestration. So, but, by not tilling the soil, by applying, that a chemical or herbicide, of course, the weeds will die off, But then your own crop, if your crop is not modified, if the soybeans is not modified, as you spray, the soybeans will also dry off, as the weeds dry off. So in order to actually mitigate that major challenge, scientists, breeders developed that variety of soybeans that can resist. As you spray, your soybeans is still vigorous, it stands erect, but the weeds die and they go down. And as they go down, of course, they support your soybeans plants, they support the growth, and then they trap the nutrients. So, it becomes advantageous. And then the yield now, because they're not sharing nutrients with weeds again, so they can produce more pods.
In July of last year, 32 farmers were given the seedlings of the newly commercialized cowpea in the Federal Capital Territory. This is part of the plans to get more farmers to begin to plant BioTech crops and ultimately make farming more attractive. More farmers in other parts of the country are expected to get more seedlings to plant the crops.
It's good to actually make agriculture, make it simpler, simplify it, remove drudgery from agriculture, and everyone in the society will join. Because Mr. President has already actually declared that we should grow what we eat and then eat what we grow. And so by so doing, we are actually encouraging that to grow what we eat. So that, more people will, because if you simplify agriculture, of course, make it business-like, of course, more people will go into it. The youth will be attracted, they will go into it. And so we'll have more food. And if we have more food, of course, we're going to have, prices will be stabilized, will go down.
Nigeria is facing looming food crisis caused by climate change and insecurity. However, the introduction of genetically modified crops is considered key in addressing the issue.
The US is one of the countries that place value on life. So for them to have commercialized such variety of crops, I believe they've done lots of proximate analysis, on the crop before it was commercialized. So I don't see any reason why anybody should have concerns or be scared of the technique or the technology. Yes, so far it's meant to, solve a problem or the other, on crop improvements, on food security, and all that.
The National Biosafety Management Agency is saddled with the responsibility of providing a regulatory framework.
Anyone that uses biological agents maliciously will be prosecuted, and such a person or a group of people or organization will face the full wrath of the law. Nigeria as a country must be secured, so that know that the federal government sees the issue of this national biosecurity policy as a major national assignment. The agency will meticulously ensure that this process under the Federal Ministry of Environment is conclusive this year so that the Federal Executive Council can take a critical look at it and take a decision. And we are hoping by the end of this year, it will become our national policy on biosecurity.
Nigeria officially signed the Biosafety Bill into law in 2015, making it eligible to join the League of Nations already using genetic engineering to boost food production. Nevertheless, the government is putting together the National Biosecurity Policy and Action Plan, which is aimed at protecting Nigerians and the environment from any threats arising from biological organisms.
My guest on the program is Professor Abdullahi Mustafa, the Director General and CEO of the National Biotechnology Development Agency. He assures us that genetically modified foods are safe for us, and what's more, we've been consuming them for a while with no incident. Professor Mustafa, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you, Kela.
You know, lots of people have been talking about a food crisis. Nigeria is in a food crisis. But for people to understand what this really means, what is a food crisis and what is Nigeria going through right now?
Well, I may not call it food crisis because what you need to look at is that there is a process by which agriculture can be enhanced, and that is going to enhance the productivity of our crops, the crops that we use. I know currently that government policy is to close the border. We produce what we eat what we produce. That is the government policy. So in doing that, of course, there are some gaps that could be filled. But when you look at the productivity aspect, you can look at it from the aspect of the production, where if, as a farmer, you adopt to modern technology as it is done in Western world, you see that the productivity is going to be high. And when you adopt the traditional way of doing things, like carrying your hoe, go to your farm, using the unimproved seed, you will see that the productivity is going to be very low.
Wait, so I want to go back, because you're basically saying we're not experiencing a food crisis? Is that what you're saying to us?
Well, to my own understanding, no. We need to just work hard and see that we have arrested the situation. The border is closed. Of course, if the border is closed, there is a gap that needs to be filled. That is what I understand from it. So the border, if it is closed, we need to work hard, apply modern technology, then apply the modern mechanization. So this is what we need to do.
So the gap that we need to fill is not enough for us to say we're in a food crisis.
That is my understanding.
So we need to be able to do more by, because I'm listening to you talk about, you know, employing a lot of these foreign techniques. Is that the way forward?
Yes, modern techniques. That is the way forward. And that is what I'm telling you.
To increase yield?
Of course, because when you have a farmland, for example, if you have like 1 hectare, 1 hectare, as if somebody is using the older method of doing it, he can produce, just as an example, maybe 20 bags of rice. And then if somebody is using modern technology, then that person can produce like 60, 70. So you cannot make that comparison. The world now has gone modern. And if we do not adopt the technology, then we are going to go nowhere.
That actually brings me to my next question that has to do with biotechnology, because that's where your agency is focusing on. Now, of course, you just said to us that you don't think Nigeria is experiencing a food crisis, but there is a gap that needs to be filled up.
That is it.
But the food crisis is something that they've been talking about all over the world. There's so many meetings and stakeholder engagements trying to get people in this particular sector to ensure that the value chain of food is fixed and that we have the utmost yield as a country. Where does biotechnology come into play in achieving this?
That is what I'm telling you. So they are trying to say food crisis, they are relating it to the technological aspect of it. So which means still is the gap that need to be filled. Biotechnology, you know, is a modern technology. That is part of what I'm trying to say, that applying modern technology is the way forward. Biotechnology is a technique that you use to improve the yield, to improve the quality, to improve the productivity. How? You know, for example, when you take at an issue of climate change is one bedeviling issue that you cannot do anything about it, but rather to reduce the carbon dioxide emission. But there is another way to do it if you are a farmer or if your country is serious about production, and that is what we're doing in this country. Drought-resistant crops are the solution. So when you have the drought-resistant crop, which National Biotechnology Development Agency has produced, for example, the maize, that is the Tela Maize project, the water, even if it is not enough, like for example 4 to 5 months, that drought tolerance is there. The gene is there in the maize, so it will not just cease production. It will reach as if the rain has reached maximum to its production.
People are afraid of genetically modified organisms. They're afraid of GMO in food and things like that. Talk to us about how people can feel a little bit more relaxed, because you're talking about maize. Now we're looking at cotton and things like that that we're not going to consume. Many Nigerians wouldn't really bother much. But if you're now affecting my ginger, or you're touching my maize, or my rice, you know, or fruits and things like that. Talk to us a bit about GMOs. Should Nigerians be worried that the application of biotechnology in farming might affect the type of food that we eat?
No, it is not going to affect anything. This technology is a new technology, and I've told you now from the beginning that whatever you produce in the laboratory, it has to go through certain series of safety tests.
None of these, just to be clear, the biotechnology that you're applying in the crops that we're going to be eating, it's not going to make them into genetically modified organisms?
They are GMO.
So,
they are genetically
so
modified.
the crops will be GMOs?
Yes, they are.
How can we get Nigerians to feel a little bit more comfortable?
That's what I'm telling you. It is science. I'm a professional, so I'm telling you that it is safe. It is safe. It's just like you're trying to ask a professional architect, how do you design this? Medical doctor, you are sick. All these things. So this is biotechnology, and I'm telling you from what we observe in the laboratory, from what is obtained around the world, this technology is safe.
GMOs are safe,
yes,
for consumption.
Yes, it's safe.
That's the message.
It's safe. It's safe. You have been consuming GMO. You don't know. You import, like for example, soybean. Soybean is imported. Do you know how it is made? There are so many GMOs food that you consume in the country, but you don't know. You don't know because it is not processed in Nigeria. This is a technology. We want to domesticate the technology. We want to make the technology genuine in Nigeria. We are the people that does it. It's not that we wait all the time that until somebody does something outside and then the person will bring it to the country and then it will just be like you're a consumer. No.
Where did Nigerians get the idea that GMOs are dangerous?
Well, you know, it's just this superstition. Let me ask you a question. Where did they get this, that this vaccine is dangerous?
It's dangerous, yeah.
But this is anything new. This is a new vaccine. They used to say it is a magnet. When you put it, they're introducing microchips into your body. That is how people are. But with time, they will understand. With time, they will know. Because when you use it for a number of years, nothing happens to you. Then you'll be like, okay, this is good. I don't know. At times, people wait until somebody consumes it. Then when they see that nothing happened to the person, then they will start to say, okay, maybe I'll give it a try. So that is how it is. It's a new technology, and that technology is safe. Nobody should be apprehensive. Nobody should exercise fear. It is being done elsewhere around the world.
Nigeria is a farm country, you know, so there's a lot of work ahead for you.
That is true.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank
you so much for being with us on Dateline Abuja. Are you still skeptical of genetically modified foods? The first genetically engineered plants to be produced for consumption by humans were introduced in the mid-1990s. Today, approximately 90% of the corn and soya beans in the market are GMOs. Genetically engineered crops produce higher yields, have a longer shelf life, and are resistant to diseases and pests. These benefits are a plus for both farmers and consumers. But the skepticism is normal. If GMOs can be shown to be both safe and healthy, consumer resistance to these products will most likely diminish. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kayla Megwa. See you next